So, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Tech Off Topic podcast, the award-winning
This
podcast.
award-winning podcast.
What award did you win?
We haven't thought that far ahead.
What should we think of an award to go with that?
Right. Okay. Sorry. Do carry on.
Yeah,
I
sorry, I
didn't
just
mean, I
started
didn't
saying
mean
it.
to interrupt.
I'm not going to lie. I think this is going to be a great episode because when we say derailed as normal, it's going to be truly derailed.
We haven't even started introducing.
Derailed, deranged?
We have a. Stop it. We have a guest.
We do. So anyway, hi, I'm Mike. I'm Devrel at Infobit. Bloody hell, I can't even remember my own intro. And we have with us Jim.
Hello, I am Devrel person.
And we have Stuart.
Hi. I'm Stuart Langridge. Nice to meet you. People watching this. This is a weird experience for me. I haven't done streaming before. So I don't really understand how this works. There are people actually watching right now, are there? Wave people who are watching. Right? So do we find out how this works? I don't know. Do they hear me saying this 3 minutes from now or something?
The lag is about 40 seconds.
Okay.
On a terrible internet
So
connection.
40 seconds from now, people paste like one of them little wave emojis in the chat or something. Hi, I'm Stuart Langridge. What am I meant to say? I'm a consultant. I'm a writer. I'm a speaker. I do things as and when necessary.
Yeah, I was about to say you're a maker of things.
I just do stuff as I don't know what would people know me from.
Well,
so I do a podcast called Bad Voltage. I'm part of Open Web Advocacy. I've done a bunch of talks in various places. I don't know.
You've done some very serious stuff as part of specification definition.
Yeah.
Like if you're unaware and you have no idea, there's a group of people in the forms of Stuart, Jake Archibald, Remy Sharp, Bruce Lawson, who are essentially British granddaddies of the internet.
They used to be a long time ago. So this is back in 2004, 2005, there or thereabouts. There was a point where every time there was a conference, a web conference in the UK, you had essentially the same group of people ended up speaking at it. Just because there weren't that many people around who were experienced speakers. So we all knew one another. And it was a much smaller scene back then. First of all, because it was a long time ago, but secondly, also because the UK is not actually that big. And I don't know, is this an international listenership or is it mostly people in the UK?
It's international.
Cool.
There will be random people from the West Coast.
Yeah, so the UK web scene wasn't that big anyway. And so everyone knew everyone else. So we called ourselves the Brit Pack.
I did not know there was a name for this thing.
That's really early 2000s pretentiousness.
There was a little logo which was a pair of Y fronts with a Union Jack.
You made the logo.
Oh yeah, no, we were cool. And so you had myself, Bruce Lawson, and John Hicks, and Andy Clark, and
Bloody hell, Hicks was part of this.
Yeah, a whole group of people. Yeah, and some of them went off and set up Clear Left, and everyone's still around. They were fun times. I miss those times.
The thing is, with the sort of now, I know it's sort of spun off with the new sort of role of developer relations and things, but the actual speaking circuit beyond kind of frameworks and languages, it might have got bigger, but you still see a lot of
it's still recycling the same humans.
You see a lot of the same faces, which is kind of disappointing that conferences don't do better at getting. I mean, there's obviously a tension there, right? Because you want to get people who you know are going to be good.
Yes,
but equally you want to get people who are going to be good, who are going to be those great people. 2 years
people need to learn somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
sacrificing a little bit of time to give people a bit of space is not a bad thing.
I send people.
I agree 100%.
I send people that want to get into it to meetups because that's the easiest way to sort of start. But
yes,
and also ladies and gentlemen, what's the thing you say about germs? Something in germs. Ladies and germs. He looks like Mike looks disappointed that I've nicked one of his catchphrases.
Mainly because it's terrible when I say it. It's worse when you say it.
It's not great, actually, now I think about it. But that's
ladies and gentlemen,
is
usually how I do it.
See, I normally say friends and enemies or something like that.
Friends and enemies.
So, because it's more inclusive.
Just take
I don't have enemies. I have people waiting for the blood eagle.
I don't want to disappoint you here, but maybe you think you don't have enemies.
This is where Stuart stands up as my arch nemesis.
I can do better than you as a nemesis.
Yeah, on that kind of topic about encouraging people to speak, that's your specific Baz Luhrmann inspired talk, which is happening tomorrow in Birmingham. But there is
Wednesday.
Wednesday. But yes, this is one of the recent things. I put together a talk with the intention of encouraging more people to do talks at meetups.
And it has worked. Some people have directly referenced that.
They absolutely have.
Luke Brown being one of them.
I was at Fusion conference here in Birmingham
Meetup
last week. It's a conference, dude.
It's a meetup for reasons.
There's 100 people.
We call it a meetup on steroids.
Yeah,
that's our branding.
It's either a small quarterly conference or a large meetup, depending on your point of view. It's like 150 people at it. But one of the speakers at the last event came up to me afterwards and said, "I was inspired to do this by your talk," and I'm like utterly proud of this. I'm like, this is exactly why I did it. That's fantastic. I'm really pleased. So yes,
it's all right. I'm not going to lie. I do actually see you with a shit-eating grin quite often, but that one's a genuine one.
Yeah, it's like this is why I did it. This is the point. We want to inspire new people to get involved, right?
Yeah,
this is the goal.
Especially as I'm a specialist in PHP specifically, there are certain areas, not all, there's certain conferences and certain frameworks where you look at the lineup and you go, okay, well, that's interesting.
So did you pay or just always be there?
Same old faces. New boss, same as the old boss.
Oh, no. It gets worse because the event he's specifically talking about has the tendency where it's the same. It's
not just that's one that you're thinking of,
but it's the same circle. They've got the same primary committer group where about half of them will speak.
Okay.
And then the only other people that are really speaking are either really big names for another reason or have most definitely paid,
but not officially.
But that's just a disappointing way to run a conference, then.
Yep.
Oh, and if you go to that, you're not going to hear anything you haven't heard already. So why
it depends how much hype you put into it.
Okay. I mean, maybe
I can't. The problem is normally I'd completely rag on the individuals and whatnot involved, but I realized I can't at the moment because I need to do some PHP work.
Well,
and I can't because I'm doing the same job as you. So there you go.
Can I suggest integrity?
What's that?
My point exactly. So
I don't have integrity. I just have a rather large mouth.
I mean, well, that's also in the bar earlier. I did hear you from quite a long way away, and I'm supposed to be the noisy one.
Oh, sure. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with
I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, we did go to the pub before. This is a common meeting area for people to find each other.
Well, exactly. It's nothing controversial.
Nothing weird about that.
Are we supposed to have turned all the beers so their logos are away from the camera or towards the camera or something?
No, because unfortunately after this I'll be doing Building with Beer when I'll actively be talking and rating the beer whilst I make something terrible.
This podcast is sponsored by Thornbridge.
Honestly, get the Thornbridge sponsorship. I'll come back more often. That would be excellent.
There is a Burning Soul sponsorship coming for.
Oh wow, fabulous! Okay,
I may be doing some stuff for Chris. He said I'll give you a few cases.
So people who don't actually know this, Thornbridge are obviously a UK-wide brewer.
Yeah, and importer.
Yes,
they're a huge importer of foreign beers.
They are. But Burning Soul are a quite local Birmingham brewery, but they're pretty good.
Very local.
To be fair, brutally honest, Burning Soul is also my local pub.
It's around the corner from your flat, isn't it?
Yeah,
because they've got a brewery in a garage. I mean, it's cool.
It's a really big garage
with classic hipster vintage knackered sofas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because Shoreditch isn't cool anymore. Now it's all about
the horrible thing is that's not there because Chris bought it for the tap room. That's there so he had somewhere to sit down whilst he's brewing and can't be bothered to get up.
Well, is that why they're there? Well,
it's a working brewery.
Yeah, I mean, cannot complain about Burning Soul or get the Two Towers one next.
No,
are they still around?
They're a bit odd, aren't they?
They don't make very good beer.
No, see, it's quite boring. Here is the thing. So both of you, disappointingly, are wrong. And part of the reason that Two Towers are great is because during lockdown, someone suggested, "Hey, why don't you get beer delivered from from somewhere, and I thought, well, why don't I look at the local breweries? So I looked at Two Towers. They had a website. So Two Towers is another local Birmingham brewery for people people who don't live within 4 miles of where we're sitting. And so I filled in the thing on the website at about 11 o'clock. And then I got a phone call about 15 minutes after saying, okay, you just ordered 12 bottles of whatever it was. I can't even remember. And they said, I said, yeah, I just ordered them. And they said, okay, can we deliver them at 1 o'clock? And I went, well, like 1 o'clock today?
To be fair, Green Duck was doing the same as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Green Duck was good.
and honestly, I don't think they have a regular policy of 1 hour long delivery like Tesco Whoosh or something. It's more that they were doing a delivery anyway, and I just happened to time it very accurately. But I was that pleased with that.
I
that
doubt
thought,
it's even that. I bet it was the bloke who'd just come back and he's like, well, I've got now else to do.
No, they had a whole delivery thing. But yeah. So I'm a big fan of Two Towers because they saved me from lockdown. So well played.
The problem is they don't make very interesting beer.
See, I quite like their golden beer. I can't remember the name.
Some of them are. They've got a dark one or a stout that's all
no,
right.
I have the same thing with rock and roll beer. Well, have you ever been to the rock and roll beer house?
I have.
And I flipping love the vibe in that room. The vinyl and everything just makes me happy. I prefer the old one.
How can I put this? This is going to sound more like an insult than it is. But I have to say, I'm not surprised.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's just pointing out that I am a wannabe hipster.
Wow. That's being a wannabe hipster's got to be the worst thing imaginable. It's not that you
can't
into it
even
before
do
it was
it.
cool. Right, you got to be into being a hipster after it was cool.
Well, no, the problem is
It's like the anti-hipster.
Sil was eating English breakfasts off a rusty spade in Dalston before we were.
I am a hipster. The difference is I never stopped being a skater kid from the early 2000s.
No, I can see that.
He wasn't good enough for her. So
did you just make an Avril Lavigne reference?
Yes,
Did you?
I absolutely
But
did.
Avril Lavigne. Remember that Avril Lavigne isn't alive. She's been replaced by an imposter.
Yeah,
because there was a story by like a Brazilian internet blogger about.
Are you high?
This genuinely became a thing.
This became like
get out of
know TLC, the terrible news network in the US.
Oh, yeah.
So TLC were back.
Not the ones that did Creep. The
No,
news
not
network.
TLC.
TNT?
TNT.
Yeah.
Oh, TNT.
Okay.
The Teen Network.
Yes.
Yeah. They ran with that story about
Hang on, that Avril Lavigne's been replaced by an imposter. This is
by a doppelganger. Yes.
Well, so this is like Paul McCartney.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, what's his name? Art Attack.
Neil
Hang
Tennant.
on, Neil Buchanan
Neil
was
Buchanan.
replaced by
Constantly being dead.
what?
I remember that one.
Neil Buchanan's been declared dead like 5 times by the internet.
The new generation are also saying Mr. Tumble. Neither your children are too old and you don't have any. But Mr. Tumble has been declared dead about 3 times. I don't know why. Rumors about children's entertainers.
Same deal,
Okay.
but differences.
But Avril Lavigne.
So what was the motivation behind this? Hang on, is the pitch that Avril Lavigne died for some reason?
Yes,
but then they stood up a doppelganger because they wanted to keep selling records. So same as Paul McCartney.
There you go.
Avril.
It's called the
There's
Avril
a
Lavigne.
Wikipedia page
There's a
for
Wikipedia
Avril Lavigne replacement conspiracy theory. So this is a conspiracy thing. So that I didn't know she was Canadian.
She was married to the dog man, the poodle man, the terrible song, Nickelback. Him. She was married to him.
Avril Lavigne was married to someone out of Nickelback.
She was married to Chad Kroger.
Okay, this is the Discovery Day incorporated for me. Gracious.
Goodbye,
Okay.
tech podcast. Hello, pop culture.
This is I appear to be an episode of Pop Bitch for no reason. Canadian singer Avril Lavigne died in 2003, shortly after the release of her successful first album, was placed by a body double named Melissa Vandella. But evidence used to support the theory. This is going to be good. Changes in Lavigne's appearance between 2000. I don't want to disappoint you here, so people of the internet.
You mean
but
aging?
If you were to look at pictures of most of us in 2003, 2 decades ago, and now most of us look a bit different. At least I myself do not, but a lot of other people.
Mate, I have seen the evolution of your goatee.
It's all approximately the same beard. support.
I
Suppose.
didn't realise bleaching your face was an option.
Oh no, hang on. So their evidence is that she's changed her look in the last 20 years. Supposed subliminal messaging in her second album.
It's always subliminal messaging.
I've released the devil. Play it
It's
backwards.
fun to smoke marijuana.
Yeah, it's just people have been doing this stuff since Louis in the 50s. And a photo shoot in which Levine has the name Melissa written on her hand. That's it.
So she's not
Okay, they're like the flat Earth people have got better arguments than this. For goodness' sake, this is ridiculous.
Okay, you know what? We are now 18 minutes in. We had a 4-minute waiting for everything to fix and Jim to go for a pee.
That's true. Sorry, everyone.
I'm gonna derail the derailing.
I'm sorry.
Okay, are we gonna talk about tech?
I thought I was here to talk about Avril Lavigne.
Oh no. Right, I'm not gonna lie.
Paul is the walrus.
I'm not gonna lie. Stuart is one of the best people to give a topic and just watch go nuts. it is hilarious when it's something that he actually gives a shit about.
There's plenty of things in the agenda where I'm like, what's he going to do with this?
You will go sideways on the conversation. I've seen you do it plenty of times in the pub.
That happens.
So
should you go in this order?
What's the order?
Do you want to start?
Just so I understand this, there's an agenda.
We don't have an agenda. We have a list of topics.
We have,
just pick one off the topics.
It's not an agenda. It's a loose.
That's why I shared that document with you.
Some pasted links.
So when you want to look into it yourself and go, oh, what the?
Sorry,
You have the reference.
I'll fish the link out of my spam folder. Right, okay, go with.
Hang on, I go to spam.
You thought it was just spam?
Go with the first agenda.
No, because that's boring.
Okay.
What are you gonna pick?
Go with an entertaining agenda.
All right, you know what? Just because I really don't want to talk about this one, just get it out of the way. Don't deploy on Friday is back.
It's a man. It's an influencer, and he's called Alan. What is the link?
Alan Holub.
Alan Holub. These people have got nothing to say, but it was a dogmatic DevOps.
This is an inverse. Normally, it's don't deploy on a Friday.
Oh no, but now it's everyone's continuous integration is so good that you should always deploy on a Friday, and then everyone joined this massive argument of discourse. You're like,
so
who cares?
So, first point, I wildly don't care about arguments on Twitter because I don't care about Twitter anymore.
Well, yeah, because it's not. It's fun to talk about, but it's useless.
But importantly, so Sam Hughes does QNTM. He came up with some years ago a really interesting way of using the deploy on Fridays thing as a way of assessing how good your company is at things. So the idea is
culture check or an actual
it's sort of internal. So you look at your company and you characterize them as Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. And the way you're characterizing your company is the day you pick is the last day you're prepared to do a deployment. So it's not you should do this or you shouldn't do this. It's a way of measuring your company's readiness, your project's readiness, and how much they're on top of stuff.
I quite like that.
So if you are a Friday company, you're quite happy to do a deployment on a Friday because you're confident it's okay. If you're a Thursday company, then we're a bit reluctant to deploy on Fridays because sometimes we screw up the deployments, and so we don't want to be working over the weekend. So we're not going to do deployments Friday. We'll do it on Thursday, but that's still pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. So being a Thursday company is okay. Being a Wednesday company is a bit less good, and maybe you want to start looking at your processes. Being a Tuesday company is, if you go back further than Monday, that you need more than a week to prepare for a deployment, then it's hard to argue that you're doing continuous integration at all because it's not continuous at that point. It's quantized at best. But I thought that was a really useful way of people going onto Twitter and lambasting others for failing to meet up to this plan is not really the point. It's look at what you're doing, and if you're reluctant to deploy on a Friday, then you're a Thursday company. Are you happy with that? Cool. If you're not happy with that, you want to be a Friday company. What do you need to do to make it happen? Start thinking about
those are not the sensible discussions that happen online, though. There's the actual tweet.
So the actual tweet says, not deploying on Friday is a huge red flag,
Everything's big and it's very Trumpian,
indicating a seriously broken process. Insufficient testing, for example, a lack of continuous integration and waterfall thinking, deploy many times per day, but most importantly, no culture of quality. Fix all that. So the guy's point is, if you haven't achieved perfection, you suck. And that seems a bit unnuanced, right?
It's chucking stuff out into the void in order to get engagement. And there's lots of that on
that
Twitter.
Is absolutely trolling for people who will disagree with it or try to explain the nuance. It is so. Twitter does not lend itself to nuance, and social media do not lend themselves to nuance, and tech discussions in general do not lend themselves to nuance. But people deliberately playing up the lack of nuance because it gets them engagement can fuck right off. I mean, honestly.
And this is why I can't wait for the death of the tech influencer.
What do you mean?
When's that going to happen?
Well, hang on. Just to be clear, are we talking about a specific tech influencer?
No,
to die here?
No.
Okay.
The brand of like the Well, I work in tech, but I would like to be paid for being an influencer, so I'm going to lean on the two things and end up building this.
Why are you expecting this will go away? You're talking about the cult of celebrity.
Yes.
This has been a thing literally forever, right? The first guy who worked out how to bang a rock against another rock had people sitting around going, oh, wow, look at those rock skills. He's a literal rock star. Let's follow him about the place, right? He's not going away.
I wish it would, though, because it's just...
Sure.
So that's a very different thing of you want.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I don't think it's going anywhere.
It's like, okay, so there was a...
I mean, I agree, but I wish white onions would go away in favour of red onions, and no one's listening to me either. So
but it's just like, all right, so I was in the pub with you and Maria and stuff after a fusion gathering thing.
Yes.
And she pointed out at me, so you're just a tech influencer. And that made my blood boil.
Of course it did, because because she's a mate that knows how to push your buttons.
No, because importantly, you're not a tech influencer. You just want to be a tech influencer.
I'll tell you somebody. I'll tell you somebody who does. I'm not going to name names. Somebody who really wants to be a tech influencer. I've mentioned their name before. They've actually gone. I think they've gone into it. They've taken a job into engineering and used to be in developer relations, right? I just opened up Twitter one day. Sometimes Twitter can be good for amusement of these kind of people,
it's
right?
Definitely toilet reading for making it easier to pass.
That's it's like you remember we used to have toilet books. It's like that, isn't it?
Top Gear magazine.
I used to have the Book of Heroic Failures. Do you remember that?
Yes.
There you go.
And the Book of Lists.
And that one as well. And then there was the Time Waster Diaries or the Time Waster Letters. That was a good one. The letters from the British Ship Friars Association.
101 Things a Boy Can Do or whatever. the sort of things that Waterstones sell a lot of at Christmas.
Anyway, I opened it up, and this particular person was going to install. This particular influencer was going to install Arch Linux on their laptop in a hot tub for no reason, live on Twitch.
So I don't want to disappoint you here.
Oh God!
But being a tech influencer, or the ultimate goal of being a tech influencer, is what DevRel is.
No.
If you're failing to do that, then you're not doing your jobs properly.
Well, no, because I see there is.
Can I do it without installing Arch Linux in a hot tub?
Why would you not install Arch? Well, don't install Arch Linux. But what?
There we go. It's got his canonical roots on.
I don't know that I'd necessarily recommend Ubuntu these days either. But why would? Yeah, sure. I mean, this is obviously trolling people for attention, but equally, I mean, you know this, right? You're a professional actor, or have been. You do things that get people's attention.
I do.
It's almost entirely pointless if your goal is to get other people to do the thing you're doing or appreciate the thing you're doing. It's almost entirely pointless to do the right thing and no one finds out about it. I mean, you could, like, for example, not stream this and just record it and then publish the transcript, but you're not doing that because you want attention. There's nothing actually wrong with
that. I do this because it's easier.
Is it easier? Literally every time I've written anything, I didn't spend 15 minutes plugging all the cables in first.
To be fair, this started whilst we were doing it from our homes with Hailzone and Central Birmingham. So StreamYard has just become the default way because
I see. Just docs where Jim lives.
But I live in the Drury Quarter.
That Stuart lives in Warwick.
Man, that's
a lie.
That's a harsh commentary on both me and Warwick.
Hey, it's better than Coventry because at least then you're not just having everyone pass through.
So that reminds me of when
that is extremely unkind and accurate.
Spike Milligan was on Room 101, but shortly after after Paul Merton took over, and one of the things he put into Room 101 was his house. Because he hated his house. Like, why do you want to put your house into Room 101? And he just looked at him and just went, because I hate it. But the second
buy
one,
a different house.
the second one, he gave justification for why he didn't buy a different house. I don't know what it was. But his second thing that he put in, and I'm sorry, if there are any people from the south coast of England, they're going to hate me. But he put Portsmouth in. And as an example for putting Portsmouth in, he showed an advert from the 1990s. And it said, and it was like one of those like Great British Rail ones.
Yeah,
and it said, "Come to Portsmouth, and beautiful French towns are just a few hours sailing away. Come to Portsmouth and leave Portsmouth."
To leave immediately on a boat.
I thought that was great.
Okay, that doesn't seem like a brilliant advert.
To be fair, that's most people's definition of Birmingham. Go to Birmingham to get to everywhere else.
Well, yeah, go to Birmingham because Birmingham New Street's right there, take you out. On the other hand, those people are wrong and stupid. On the other hand, and this is important, I don't want people outside Birmingham to know that it's good because then they'll come in and bugger it up.
This has always been
Right.
Stuart's kind of like
I
mantra.
recently found out something about this because I have to spend a lot, like you do, with the beery crowd, the brewers and the bar staff, and etc.
Yes.
So, did you know about Attic?
What, the brewery in Sturchley?
Yes.
That's supposed to be the thing at the top of someone's house.
Correct. So, did you know that Attic is actually not a Birmingham brewery?
Yeah?
It's set up by a bunch of Londoners who had money and wanted to make it somewhere cheap so they could sell it off later. It's not there to be a great Birmingham brewery.
Dude, it's in Sturchley.
Well, yeah, but that's an up-and-coming area. So is Birmingham
No,
Brewery.
you're missing the point, right? If you were doing something which you wanted to be a Birmingham thing, you do it in Birmingham. Sturchley is very much artisanal goat's cheese sandwiches for £9.
Yeah, but like that whole thing is it's not
wild boar sausage, fantastic.
Yeah, but the whole thing.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I quite like Sturchley, but it's very much a sort of all the shops sell Parma ham and none of them sell toilet roll, right?
He's not wrong, ladies and gentlemen.
Isn't the best cocktail bar in the UK there?
I'm going to get burned alive by Sturchley people.
No, that's
watching
Joy
this.
Quarter, 40 cents balls.
No, that's the best gin bar.
Best gin bar.
The best cocktail bar.
40 St Paul's is not the best cocktail bar in the country.
No,
it's the best gin bar.
It's the best gin bar.
Yeah, but who cares about gin? It's just perfume.
I like gin.
Disgusting.
I like gin.
I like gin. I don't like the. I
Says
don't
the
like
man
the
who
flavored
can't drink
stuff.
real beer.
Literally, what's wrong with that?
Right, you don't drink it unless it's sparkly lagery.
It's a Thornbridge collaboration, right? And it's
Ladies
an
and
Italian style Pils, 5.2% from Pomona Island.
Sorry. Can we go on to the next topic? This is boring.
But anyway,
can we move on to the next topic?
I just like the fact that so they've created this business purely to sell it off. It's the same as like where
Provide like that as well.
Yeah,
they're not local to here.
So the magic phrase you're looking for is that they're looking for an exit.
Yeah,
a tactic which our industry is not entirely unguilty of.
Build up a business and sell it.
Having recently found out that my employer is looking to IPO at some
point. Ladies and gentlemen, defense rests.
I think I just got fucked. And I've
cast out the beam in thy own eye, brother. I think.
I also just realized I'm wearing a beer hat.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying, man. From Alberta.
Right, my high horse. Somebody else.
Right, I'll read the selection of subjects, and then you can pick.
Okay, right.
You've got a list of subjects. You can read them.
Agendum number 2.
Well,
is another one of these beers mine?
Yeah.
Oh, fabulous.
You can talk about. If you really want to. I'm saying putting it like because I really don't want to about what Musk has done this week, whatever he's done. You can talk about Scott Pilgrim.
What's he done this week?
It's something to do with GPT.
I have opinions on that.
I do like Stuart opinions.
if you want to hear them. So the point here is not Musk, right? Fuck a bunch of Musk and literally
the horrible thing is I actually don't disagree with this bit. I just hate the fact it's Musk.
No.
Oh, it's the tech lead. It's the tech leaders.
We'll get to that. Okay. So for people who haven't seen this, a whole bunch of tech luminaries. So Steve Wozniak, who set up Apple and then didn't do anything else since. I mean,
I do respect him.
Much as he's cool, and I've seen him speak, and he's very entertaining. He's not actually done anything since about
to be
1977.
fair,
I spoke to somebody about recently because he keynoted something, and
Yeah.
his speaker's fee is interesting.
It's
Yes.
insane.
It's eye-watering.
So
Yes.
what's his face who invented JSON as well?
Douglas Crockford.
Yeah, it's a
But
nonsense.
you were Doug's all right.
Oh, he is. But his speaker's fee is bonkers.
I mean, but then wouldn't yours be? If you could live on doing 3 talks a year and that's it, wouldn't that be good?
Fair enough.
To be fair, if you're as rich as God, you can do what you
I mean,
like.
Every industry needs the. I hesitate to use the word aristocracy, but there's not necessarily a problem with that. Right? It's the same as professional footballers. Right?
There's all the apples and pears going around here.
Apple. But yeah. Anyway, my point was that you got a bunch of tech luminaries, one of whom is the execrable Musk, but leaving that aside, who said that they would like to see investment and development of AI dial back a little tiny bit for 6 months because we're worried. And the thing which disappoints me about this is I cannot think of a better way of keeping the thing in the news than doing stuff like this because, and this is the important point, people who are interested in AI and who want it to be successful and who want it to be the next big thing, what they want is they want lots of people having very chin-strokey discussions about, is AI bad? Is it good? Oh no, let's have a big chat about that, right? They want this kind of philosophical investment into it. And so literally anyone pushing for or pushing against is keeping that conversation going, which is good for the people who want AI to happen. The thing that if you wanted AI to stop, you make everyone shut up about it. So it stopped being trendy. And what's disappointing is everyone on that list has enough media literacy to know this, right? So they've Streisand affected the thing that they're trying.
What?
You know about the Streisand effect?
No.
Oh, okay. So in general,
Off topic, ladies and gentlemen.
if you want to keep a thing secret, then
Don't tell Barbara Streisand.
The thing to do is not to attempt to sue a bunch of people who are talking about it to make them shut up. So it's named after Barbara Streisand, who tried to do exactly that. But I forget what story it was she wanted to stop getting out.
A recent equivalent is, do you remember when it became, after Private Eye did some investigation on it, super injunctions?
Yes.
That was exactly that.
Yes, Trafficker and Cambridge Analytica and things like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the idea is if you actually want people to stop talking about a thing, finding the people who are talking about it and suing them to make them shut up, if they're journalists, literally makes them all go, man, we're going to find a way of talking about this somehow, regardless of your opinion. We're just going to make this happen. That's the Streisand effect. You make the problem you're trying to solve 10,000 times worse by the action you took to solve it.
That's actually I need to add that to my vocabulary.
Yeah, Streisand effect. Brilliant. There's a Wikipedia page which Jim's
just
got
looked
here.
at the Wikipedia page. The actual original Streisand effect is around about a photograph of her residence falling off a cliff in California, and she tried to stop it from being talked about.
I can't remember what it was. But the point is, literally everyone with a gram of media literacy is aware that having this sort of conversation, let's do a big open letter and make sure it's published in all the newspapers, saying maybe we should dial back on AI. What that's going to do is it's not actually going to stop things. It's going to keep the conversation going.
True.
And everyone on there knows this, which suggests that if you're feeling conspiracy minded, then what they're doing is doing this because they want to keep feeding the fire.
Well,
and if you don't feel conspiracy minded, it's at the least, if their actual goal is to have people take their foot off the accelerator for a bit, this is not the way to make that happen.
Well, the only reason I give a crap about it is not because it's Musk at the head of it, because,
it's not Musk at the head of it. It's a whole bunch of, you can sign up yourself if you want to.
I know, but it's popularized because his name is...
Because you attach his name to it and it becomes news, like other right-wing demagogues we could name.
Correct.
Carry on.
But it's because of the fact that the more I've been reading, it's the fact that over the course of the last 9 months, every major organization that isn't a startup has fired their ethics organizations around.
Yes.
So Google did a batched layoff over the course of, I think it was like 7 months.
But they've been firing people involved in this phase. Look at Timmy Guerrero.
Oh yeah, but yes, but like they it was only up until about 3 or 4 months ago. They still had someone whose job title it was.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So the biggest tech businesses in the world, including Microsoft, AWS, and Google, and there's probably a whole bunch of others I didn't even realize had ethics boards to begin with, have removed their ethics boards whilst doing things that are slowly becoming dystopian with AI.
Yes.
And the reason I was like, oh, I am not a fan of Elon Musk. I'm not even a fan of Wozniak, just because of the fact that like, I don't find him entertaining when I've seen him speak. But
that's a fair opinion.
No, I mean,
but it's just a case of
sure.
that the actual philosophy behind this open letter is not stupid. There should actually be some, and the problem is money talks, and as my brain goes, hang on. If these people are willing to say this, are they willing to put their money where their mouth is and actually pay for the people to work for governments to then organize something that's not fucking terrible?
So,
because the British government also recently said no to any form of government-based ethics board for AI.
The British government also, the Royal Mint said they were going to create a load of NFTs, and then got the backlash, and then said probably
6
that
days
was a bad
later.
idea.
Yes.
So let's not
let's
not pay attention to what our government says.
Unfortunately, businesses are only there to help businesses make more money. It's the reason why capitalism, it's like, competition is great. No, capitalism, competition is great so that the monopolies can buy more of the different things, because then they make more money. Which means the only people out there that can stop it are either the communists or governments by actually having the rule of law in the way.
Rubbish. If you were formerly the richest man in the world and now a lunatic man-child who's still got loads of money, and you had the phone number of literally every venture capitalist on earth, and all of them would take your call, and you wanted people to stop doing AI stuff,
I don't want them to stop.
Is the way, but what he's saying is we want you to dial back on it, and the way you do that is you ring up all the investors and say stop investing in this unless X.
Cut the cash, yes.
Right. That's the way you do it. The way you don't do it is write an open letter and sign up to it and make sure all the newspapers know about it, because at that point what you're doing is you're not actually trying to stop it. What you're trying to do is look like you're stopping it in the public eye. Yes. But what you're actually doing is you're keeping the conversation going,
which should happen. And I say that because at some point somewhere somebody needs to have a moral and ethical look at this.
Literally everyone would stop doing this stuff if everyone stopped caring.
No, unfortunately. How long? Right, you said AI is always only a big topic. How long has it been a bloody topic for?
What do you mean?
Right, how long has AI been a big enough topic in the developer space, let alone popular media? Yes, it's only become since it's become actually like possibly useful or even just funny. But like in the tech space, conferences have been having machine learning, AI, neural net,
all of none of which got
popularized-
anywhere. Sure, people have been talking about the Turing test for years and years, but no one actually cared that before you had the open AI work and so on, which they opened up to everybody, and you had Mid Journey and Stable Diffusion and what have you. Before this recent little burst, the previous thing which made it out of the academic let's study AI for theory sphere was probably ELIZA in like 1962.
No, there was
what is this spoon?
It's deep, whatchamacallit, the Google one for Go and stuff.
Again, so you look at
Deep Blue.
Deep Blue, I think.
Yeah,
Isn't that
like,
sure.
So you had things like Deep Blue and the thing which went on to win Jeopardy, and what have you. But that wasn't something that actual people cared about. It was a thing where actual people watched a news article about how a computer beat Gary Kasparov at chess, or they were trying to do Go, or now it's won Jeopardy. But none of it actually touched people's lives. It was a thing you read about.
Oh, that's just what it is right now. But that still doesn't mean that we should be just actively going, you know what?
It isn't what it is right now, because now it's suddenly a product that literally everyone has access to.
that's even worse. That means that somebody even should actively be looking
Yes,
at the ethics of it.
yes. And so people should do that. And my point precisely is, if you really want that to happen, the way to do it is not to publish a letter and get it written about in the New York Times. Sure, if we wanted to get that happen, what we do is we publish a letter, because we have no influence. We have no lever to pull to get the people who actually make the decisions on this stuff to do things. But that is not the case if you are the 100 famous tech people who are listed in that list. And do you really think they don't use their influence for other things that they want done?
I usually actually just think they use hitmen, but that's a different problem.
Sure, well, then use hitmen, right? If that's the way they get things made. But this seems less about actually fixing the problem they're talking about, and more like looking like they want the problem fixed, so that they seem to be
we
on
all
the
want to look
side of the good
important
guys.
sometimes, right?
Yeah. I apologize.
Sure.
When I put that in there, it wasn't because of the topic of them putting the paper on it. It's because it made me think about the whole. Hang on, you know what?
Well, there's philosophical ethics
Yeah,
stuff
the ethics
rather
side of
than
things.
what they're
this
doing.
just had to be the
Right.
cascade effect.
And so my point is that they have now achieved their goal, which is they're getting you to sit there and think, oh, is this right? Let's think about the philosophy of ethics and the philosophy of mind, which has only been discussed for 6,000 years, which literally no one is paying attention to in this conversation. The fact that they're like, oh, a whole bunch of tech people are attempting to derive the ethical philosophy from first principles without doing any of the reading. And people have been talking about this since Aristotle, for God's sake. Read some of the work.
This is the same as the porn thing when we were talking about the porn ban in one state in the US.
Yes.
And it turned out that election time was coming, and you're like, okay,
Well,
you don't care about this, right? It's my turn to pick next.
Okay.
I reckon next time, like if we get Stuart in again, we get like a blood pressure monitor. See what happens.
Try and pick something I'm less annoyed about.
That was from that perspective. It was like I have something to say about this. Oh, good.
I have an opinion on that one. Yes.
So this one's going to be quite a tasty one. It involves conferences. After all, you know, we're developer relations bores.
Tech influence.
Oh,
Stop going on about
tech influence or wannabes. Right, carry on.
Okay, so there is a InfoSec is not renowned for being, as far as I've seen. Bear in mind, I've only I went for an interview with. Is it Sneak or Sneak? I always get it wrong.
Sneak.
I interviewed with Sneak in about 2018, I think, or something like that. And the only sort of time I went to the conference that they do. And the demographic was very much one-dimensional, is what I would say.
Okay.
And every time I see anything online about InfoSec, it looks like the most unwelcoming community ever. I don't know that's a generic sort of thing, and I don't know how true that is. Anyway, because of that, there is a group called Women in Cybersecurity, and they, as a group, do meetups, but they also hold their own conference. And this year's conference was. I can't see where it was. It was I don't know. It was at some sort. I think it might have been. I think we were in Europe for this one. It might have been the US. Anyway, after the closing keynote, which was given by a speaker called Alyssa Miller in InfoSec, they said, "Thanks everyone. We're so on the ball that our." Mike's just giving faces because he's just read it.
I know what's coming.
And I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of like I've got a bit of a moral dilemma because I'm going to be involved in the thing that I'm about to tell you what it is. Not the specific event, but the place.
I don't know anything about this.
Right. So they said,
and these are all too far away for me to read.
And they said, and they said, next year we've already got it sorted, and we're going to do it in Nashville.
Do you know what the laws in Tennessee are currently? Around
right, so a little bit, yes,
certain rights,
right? Okay, so I would personally have not run a thing at all in Tennessee or possibly any of the southern states.
It's like, okay, if you're going to run Redneck's OS meetup,
right?
Temple OS.
So this is, I don't actually know what what the laws are in Tennessee about LGBTQ
I
people. or what have you,
believe
but-
it's not LGBTQ specifically, but they have targeted the trans community
right,
as
okay.
part of
For
many
fuck's sake.
US states in their ignorance.
Right,
And
okay.
it is kind of it is women in cybersecurity is set up as a safe space and a safe conference. At the moment, you'd be hard pressed in the first
But that
/
seems
Western
really
world.
stupid.
Yeah, no, it was. Alyssa, who did the keynote, was not very happy and was very, very vocal. In fact, posted pictures of themselves crying on the plane on the way back.
I do need to correct something. I just actively said Tennessee as a whole. What I should have been saying is the government and
Okay.
the political
Not
leadership
not
of
the people,
Tennessee.
but this federal
This
thing
is-
I've never
I-
understood in
that-
the US. But
I
that
do
seems
need to
fair.
apologize on that one. My use of wording there was
Yeah.
terrible. Yeah, no, the government and whatnot, the bodies, regardless, are heinous in this case. And the horrible thing is that just seems like a really ignorant, dumb move by an organization for a safe space.
Yes.
the good news is that as soon as it was raised, originally there was head burying under the sand. And then I think that I need to follow it and look at, but I think they followed up and they basically sorted it out.
They just
I
dialed.
think.
They just dialed back and did it somewhere else.
But they were advised.
Good. I mean, this is
they were advised in a panel not to do it, and they still did it anyway.
right. Okay.
That doesn't make any sense.
So, well, there's an example of, I think, which disappoints me, but is really important, is that the way to get people to do things differently is public pressure. And I don't particularly like.
Hang on, didn't we just have a long discussion about that?
Yeah, I mean,
That's true.
you know, I mean, I'm not sure I like the idea of shaming people into doing stuff, but us people down here on the base level. So everyone speaking here, everyone listening to this without extra influence, is literally the only weapon we've got, and it's disappointing to have to use it, but
What do I feel-
companies don't listen otherwise, and I hate that.
Right, I am not a fan of the French. This is quite well known. I am not a fan of the French.
Of the French.
Of the French.
All 70 million of them.
But it's specifically because I hate Paris. But
so did the French. The French hate Paris.
Literally everyone outside Paris
Everyone.
in France thinks that Parisians are really
I've-
annoying. And
I've said
superior.
on this podcast that the people that hate Paris the most aren't from England; they're from France.
actually, probably the Quebecois. Who, yeah. Anyway, my point being, the one thing I do love about them is when they do collective effort and the rioting, they do it next.
oh,
Oh,
they,
yeah.
they don't hold back, do they?
Like you do know about the incident where they took a muck spreader, drove it up to the president's residence, and flung so much shit on it, it literally banged the doors open.
Yeah, I believe it.
It's like when you try to make a statement. I believe it was 2 years ago when they were changing taxes for agricultural subsidies. It's like if you're making a bloody statement, my dudes, you're doing it well.
Have you? So you know the Marseillaise, the
Yes.
French national anthem. Do you know? Have you read a translation of the words, or do you speak French well enough to know what the words mean?
I just hum along to it on the F1.
Right, yeah, but the words,
'Cause it's
look
excellent.
them up at some point because they're amazing. It's like the streets will run red with the blood of our enemies. I love it. It's like, okay, so I'm not necessarily sure I necessarily want to get behind the full fervency of the argument, but this is what a national anthem ought to be. Right?
The thing is, everyone like even
Contre
I
nous
spoke
de
to-
la tyrannie, you know,
I spoke-
l'étendard sanglant élevé. It's just like, wow.
My
I
God,
sp-
it's weird listening to a
strike
Brummy
on.
talk
I
French.
spoke to Guillaume yesterday on our team, right, on .NET Advocate, and he's just. I love the way that when you ask about these things, like the classic French response, and it's really shoulder shrugging, like, "What's going on with your country?" I mean, I could tell you, but we're not very happy. And it's like, you're hold on a minute, you're like burning stuff in the streets. It's like, oh yes, that's because we're not very happy, and Macron has done some things and whatever.
Yeah. Easy. I mean, one of the things I don't know. So, the stuff that Macron has done recently about the pension age and whatever, and then
The horrible thing, if that happened here, we just go,
well, you see,
Not
this,
again.
this is my question, right? He used a bunch. He used what, as I understand it,
the
is an
executive powers.
unusual political process to put it through. But I don't really have a sense of whether this is just, Tuesday and people are annoyed about it, or whether this is Boris Johnson proroguing Parliament to get his stuff through, or Emperor Palpatine suspending the Senate.
It's more like,
right?
from
or
what
Senator Palpatine
from what I've read,
suspending the Senate to become
it's
the
more
Emperor.
like American
right?
presidents who, on their second term, because they can't serve another one, just essentially
The
use executive powers to force
which
through.
is what Trump did the whole
Right.
time he was in there.
Yeah, which is also.
Oh, I can do this thing. I'm going to do this thing then. Okay, right, whatever.
Or Mitch McConnell refusing to bring Merrick Garland.
But yeah, so I believe it's Macron is doing this out of character, relatively out of character.
I mean, so I asked a couple of French people about this because I didn't understand it, and they said that on the one hand, people are not happy about this. On the other hand, this was part of his platform, and he won a mandate, so he's sort of allowed to do it. But I mean, I am not well versed enough in French politics to understand the context around this.
Oh God. I think that someone did do a joke about it of like, France does this and everyone riots, and in the UK, okay, everyone, Boris Johnson has willingly misled Parliament. Oh dear, carry on.
That seems terrible. We haven't set fire to any sheep or anything.
No, but we did loot.
To be fair, the French also rioted over the removal of their ability to drink wine at lunch.
I mean, why
would you not riot about it? I don't even like wine, and that seems like a thing to write about.
For the police.
Sure.
Okay. Liquid lunch for the police. A gendarme. Oh, that is Pierre. He's having. He is not happy because he has half a bottle of wine.
You can only do it if you have Liquid Lunch by Cara Emerald playing in the background.
remember like the most British sort of way of rioting I remember is I was in London for the London riot, which actually did spread, didn't they?
Yeah,
and I
was living in Gloucester. They spread
to Gloucester to Birmingham, in fact.
Yes, it did.
Oh,
yes, they did.
I remember when they smashed the E store at the when it used to be by the Bull Ring, and stole all the fake phones out the front and none of the expensive ones in the back room.
Glorious Monty Python.
It depends on what you mean by riots. You know, things like the Stop the War marches. And so
I'm talking
right?
about. No, I'm talking about the 2011. The top
I know what you're talking about, but that wasn't a riot in order to achieve a political goal. Like
No.
Stop the war march.
I'm just saying the most British thing that I remember was someone who was famous, and I think it was someone that was like sort of famous in a Harry Potter film or something like that, was in the looting, and they got snapped, and they stole a kilogram of Tesco value rice, and they got sent down for it.
Actually, you'll remember something about this.
Okay.
Do you remember going to the first Hackference because I poked you into going?
Yes.
Did you remember seeing Sid Lawrence talk? Because he was the keynote for it. He was the opener.
No, should I?
Yes, because he during his.
I thought he was rubbish after Eddie Large died. Never mind.
Oh, yeah.
Who's Sid Lawrence?
Sid
Lawrence.
I
remember this person?
He was one of the original DevRels for Twilio back in yonder years.
Okay.
He now runs a thing called the Bot Platform.
Okay.
That's not of importance. It's more a case of jogging a memory for 2013.
Sure. Okay.
He gave one of my favorite lines ever. I did not know this was coming, and I apologize for my use of language now. He got called by the public, and he put it in his slides. I got called a fucking superhero and a fascist, all in one statement, because he built an AI, a basic bollocks. What's the Python libraries? OpenCV.
Yeah, OpenCV is the image one.
Yeah, for doing facial recognition to match it up to people on Facebook to report it to the police after the rioting.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
that seems like at least fascist adjacent. Yes.
Yeah, but the problem is he was doing it just because he was really interested in the tech.
Sure, and I reported my neighbour because I was just really interested in a happy society, right? No, don't build a thing which captures people's faces, looks them up, and then reports them to police.
Wasn't
for free, for fun. Why would you do this? Find something else to do for fun, like learn the skateboard or something.
Wasn't fake. Oh, it's a real you kids, isn't it? That old man yells at cloud.
I don't know, right? If it was me, I'd read books or drink beer or something.
Find something funny, like read Dilbert, and Dilbert was originally in here.
Don't read Dilbert. Really, don't.
My systems manager at my first proper tech job. He loved Dilbert. As well. Yes, he did. But this was a long time ago, right? And he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna. Hey, Jim, look at this one." I look at it and go, "Fucking hell, that is not funny, man."
See, so different thing, right? So there were a bunch of stuff which wasn't funny, but there were occasional good insights into what it was like to be part of the, sort of faceless grey corporate world back in the late 90s.
So
Or
the office space world.
before
Jesus.
I had any idea that Scott Adams turned out to be a head case lunatic right wing.
Do you remember the first
Dickhead.
time you saw me speak was at Brum JS, I think, or something like that. I can't remember.
Okay.
And because we went to the pub afterwards, and you and Bruce gave me sort of
we
like,
stood upstairs in the Wellington.
that was it. Yeah, we went to the Wellington.
On the
There you go. You
shelf.
remember?
Yeah.
And that talk had a Dilbert in, and I remember doing it. I was like, oh, and I did a joke, and I said, oh, there's a Dilbert for that, and it wasn't feedback, I don't think, but I read somewhere something about Dilbert, and I thought, oh, hold on a minute, this is in my slides, and then that's roughly around the time it started unraveling, where he started getting worse and worse.
One of the things that I do not know is I'm sure there was a period after which people who were not me knew that Adams was a bad guy. And before I learned that, I don't know whether this extended all the way back into like 1995, but I'm certainly sure there was a point at which I'd have gone, yeah, I find Dilbert cartoons vaguely funny sometimes, and people would have gone, but he's a really bad guy, and I wouldn't have known.
Yeah,
but I don't know when that period started.
Well,
I mean, maybe some people knew like right from the beginning.
I've got a feeling it's one of those. It's one of those things where, like, it's one of those things. I get a sense it's one of those sort of Graham Linehan things where no real context, and then suddenly out of nowhere you throw your entire life away. You've been consumed by something that you didn't care about.
You were an arsehole, and then you were radicalized by and radicalized your supporters simultaneously.
I'm just going to have to point this out to you. Chat has pointed out a specific Mr. Miller. Stu remembers conversations based in which pub? Why does that not surprise me?
Well, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you. But that one was mostly, I had the mental image of constructively delivering criticism to Jim.
No, I took it. I was asking for it. It's the first, like the first time. If anyone listening, my first talk was a massive, horrible political hot potato, which I shouldn't have done.
Yes.
And I designed it as a keynote talk, and it was the one that famously I delivered at PHP London in front of about 150 people, and they started arguing amongst themselves in the audience during the Q&A.
Right. And you said, no, I really want some feedback. And so you got the fire hose, which is what you get when you ask for it.
That was good. Well, I
why do you think I don't ask you anymore? I just wait for you to give it.
But sometimes you get it anyway, right?
If you're around this locally, it's like you get the fire hose whether you want it or not.
No. If it seems like something that that you ought to hear, even if you haven't thought to ask for it, then you might get it anyway. But in general, if you ask for feedback, here it comes. Prepare yourself.
No, the first time that when I
it might be good feedback. When people say, "Have you got any feedback?" I'm like, "Yeah, that was great. I thought this was good, and I thought this was good, and I thought the way you put it together was really
The best feedback of talk I've ever got wasn't a talk. It wasn't a talk at all. It was when I joined the Fusion Meetup team. And I had to do that. And I think the first time I did it, I actually wrote out my script by hand, which of course was ridiculous.
Terrible.
And thanks.
That's
and
ridiculous.
And then
that's how I do literally all talk.
The first couple,
some of us can't do that.
The first couple of times I did it, I came straight to Stu afterwards and said, "Was that all right? What's the feedback on that?" And you just went, "Yeah, it's fine." And I thought, "That's it. Well, I've passed the test. You've passed the test."
And I said it was terrible because the fact that you just kept looking at the sheet and looked bored.
Thanks. That was the first time I did it, and now I don't have a sheet. So,
That's actually okay as an MC. I mean, sure, what you should do, ideally, the best MCs, the best compares for a conference are doing a good job of getting people excited about things and informing people about what's coming up and so on. But there are a whole bunch of basic things you do. You need to make sure that you introduce the next speaker. You need to make sure they walk onto a round of applause. You need to make sure that you carefully move from one thing to the next and you keep things going. And if you achieve that basic level, I'm okay with what you've done, right? Being a good MC is a different thing, but a lot of people do not reach that basic level. And honestly, if you don't hit the basic stuff, you don't get to do all the things that make people interesting. because you failed to introduce a speaker. So you just went, oh, yeah, there's a person. And then they just had to stand up in silence and start their talk.
That's
It's terrible.
That I told
Don't do
you. I told you about that the infamous PHP London when I spoke
Yeah.
at it. Because I think it was also disappointment of that was the first meetup I started going to, and as for a first meetup, it was minimum 100 people, and it was and I'd been watching some amazing people who I now as mates with, who I know, and so it was a sort of a bit of a, oh my god, I'm actually I'm going to get onto this stage. It was at the Sainsbury's Tech HQ in Holborn. They have like in the basement, and the actual MC organising bit was absolutely atrocious. They were like, so we're going to do, we've got some things and we've got Jim here.
Yeah.
Cool. Get on stage. I was like, this is just pathetic.
That was literally me last week.
Right. Hence me giving you the feedback, right? Your core job as an MC is not to be the cool guy in the room. It's to make it so the people who are actually speaking are the cool people in the room. So you want to make sure that they come on stage to a round of applause because it gets them going, that the people who are listening at least have some vague idea of who they are.
Maybe the disappointment
and you keep things like everyone who's a lot of people who are an MC want to get some attention to themselves, which is fine. But you do not get to do that kind of thing until you've done the basics, which means that if you do all the attention-getting stuff, but you didn't do the basics, you are bad at your job and you should stop doing it. Yeah.
Maybe. I think the disappointment...
Hardcore belief in this.
The disappointment of that is what, when I started at Fusion, I thought, I know what I want when I come on, so that's what I started doing.
Yes. Everyone speaking should walk on stage to a round of applause.
Is it wrong that I hate that?
It's idiosyncratic that you hate it.
I only hate it because of the fact that there is a lot of people who know how to troll me by carrying it on way longer than necessary.
Sure.
And I hate trying to stop people.
Yeah.
It feels bad. Like, no, I've got a thing to do.
No, then just stand there until people stop applauding. If they applaud for the whole 45 minutes, you go, thank you very much, walk off stage.
I think my boss would have a word about that.
Not really. Right? He's like, they loved it. If your boss goes, I've got a problem with that, you say, they literally applauded for 45 minutes. How much more investment do you need in the product? But yes. So I take your point, but...
oh, no, I'm just aware this is a very me thing because at the events I've been to, there are a certain group of people I know who actively enjoy the trolling of me and they know I don't.
But at that point, you come up with ways to deal with that, right? I mean, which is not that hard.
It's just being a. You've trolled me from the back at a Fusion before. Quite a few times.
Learning how to interact with your
audience. Trolled you through the front at the last one.
That's essentially heckling. True. Right? So how do you deal with a heckler? You need that skill as well.
Oh, I made a joke.
But that's being a good speaker. That's not something as being a good MC.
That is true. I'm now going to derail this again.
No.
Because I've realised.
Which rail are we even on?
That's the problem. We have lost the rails.
We've lost the.
We are.
Because
we're a long way off the pitch.
Ruby off the rails.
When it comes to the off-topic side of this thing, usually we're pretty good at being off-topic. We've had conversations around cherubs, for fuck's sake.
This has been like derailed, but only tech focused, really.
Yeah, we have used tech to re-rail the derailing.
That's
sure. What do we need to talk about cherubs for?
Oh no, that was another.
Okay.
That was a
don't worry
derailing.
about that.
It was more a case of.
Sorry, I should say cherubim rather than cherubs. But yes.
Is there something you actually want to pick up? Because we've pretty much got 10 minutes left.
We've got one topic, which is why I was going to go. We should pick one topic and fucking wing it.
Yeah.
Please, can it be the picture? I want it to be the picture because that's really funny.
The problem is that I can't show Stuart it properly.
What do you mean?
Because
it's. Can you? Well, it depends. Can you read that properly?
Yeah, I can read that. I have not read it, but looking at that, I can read it. Yes.
Okay, it's just it's like.
Oh, am I allowed to read it? I didn't know if I was supposed to.
Do you want to radio voice this, or shall I?
Okay, I can radio voice if you like.
Go for the radio voice.
So, okay, I have no idea what this is. People listening to this.
This is what's going to break it funny.
This is a tweet from someone called Eardine. And it says, so I want to stress that I cannot independently confirm this, but I trust my source. There's apparently an ongoing issue at Twitter that boils down to Musk fired everyone. Sorry.
Compose yourself.
Musk fired everyone with access to the private key to their internal root CA, Certification Authority. And they can no longer run Puppet because the Puppet Master's cert expired and they can't get a new one because no one has access. They no longer can mint certs. My limited understanding, says Eodine quite accurately, my limited understanding in this area is this is very bad. Hashtag infosec.
Just as a one correction, this is Mastodon, not Twitter. Because do you think this would survive on Twitter?
Oh, no, you're entirely right. Yes, you're right. So this is isadallaw.com. Hooray for it being Mastodon for a start. Well played. Nice. But wow, crikey, really? I mean, honestly, I have to say, I'm not even the least bit surprised.
I am, because usually as part of an offboarding process for an organization, you have...
What offboarding process? There wasn't any.
Well,
Get your stuff.
Twitter used to have an offboarding process.
Of course it used to,
have, like a handover where like you were a key person because of X thing.
Yeah.
And they've literally just gone, hang on, all this good practice, goodbye.
No,
but we knew that. We knew that was happening.
Ask yourself, literally, what would have happened is one of two things, right? Either someone in HR whose responsibility the offboarding, don't say words like offboarding, right? Literally, whoever in...
Can you tell I've worked for corporates?
Yeah, just pack it in, for God's sake. So,
is that what they say?
So either there's a person in HR, in personnel, who would have said, hey, Mr. Musk, we have a kind of process we need to go through. And Musk had said, but I fired this person, so I don't care about your process. We're slimming down now because we're new, exciting Twitter who loses money. So
hang on, always lost money.
Just let them go, not anywhere near as much as they have now.
This is true.
They started
so either that happened or that didn't happen because that person in HR was fired 6 months ago.
If you sent an email to the PR department,
you get a poo
emoji back,
yes,
which is the most childish shit I've ever heard of in tech.
Literally,
it's really. Have you seen what Musk is posting these things? Don't go and look them up, everyone, because I don't want you to, because he's a child that demands attention. But he's posting like bad memes, like he's a 13-year-old boy. It's so embarrassing.
Yes,
what's wrong with him?
He's literally what you get if you get some kind of edgelord 13-year-old teen, and then make him the
I love
fifth richest man on earth.
I love edgelord. Someone said that Chris Tankersley on my team said edgelord to me, and I was like, I just had to take a moment away from the computer.
Well, that's what he is.
I've just realised something.
He's exactly that.
Right. So there was the whole like some fuckstick. I can't think of a better word to describe on LinkedIn post. The CEO is the most popular man on social media. The CEO, the entrepreneur, as you put it, fucking bought the social media. And now he is a loud, angry man who is having, I don't know what sort of problems at home and having to validate himself by making everybody think he's great on the social media that he owns.
I mean, that's just...
It's terribly disappointing because I used to quite like Twitter.
I used to like it.
I'm not going to lie. The amount of random conversations I have started with people or joined in without toxicity, like just being able to join, that's funny.
Yeah, it's like, there was kind of a community there. Even before the current CEO decided to screw it up entirely, it was a lot more fun in 2010 than it was in 2018.
Somebody's actually going to has asked what is an edgelord, and I feel we do actually need to educate on that.
Can we have like? I'm going to find a definition for this.
This is what Urban Dictionary is for.
But like, right? I've just realised there are certain people who will not have heard edgelord because it is quite an old term.
Wow, am I being generation gap by using the term?
Is it old? Is it that old?
It's very early internet memery.
Okay,
very
early. It's a bit all your base, isn't it?
Go ahead and look up.
This is
we're gonna get someone in the chat saying what is all your base, and then
God. It's over 9,000.
At which point I just look like I've drunk from the wrong grail. Just shrivel up.
A poster on an internet forum. I love the way they name drop particularly 4chan. It was I remember the days
4chan,
I used to go on
9gag,
4chan
yeah.
and oh wow.
Right. So
Who
the,
expresses opinions which
I see. I don't necessarily agree with all of this, but there's a bit at the end. So the key point about an edgelord is someone who says things which are deliberately intended to shock and offend people.
like what shock jocks used to be, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Very, very,
Chris
very,
Moyles.
very similar kind of vibe. They would portray themselves as being prepared to say the things that other people wouldn't, but actually they're just doing it because it either shocks people or upsets them.
Hang on, is this
And
Fox
tho-
News?
and these yes, Fox News are edgelords.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
I'm going to read this one line from the second one
Yeah.
down, which sums up all of it. Most edgelords are teenagers trying to seem overly cool and or over casually apathetic.
Just as a correction, most edgelords were teenagers 15 years ago and never fucking changed.
And that I think is exactly the point. Yes. I don't know if that's a useful summary to people. And explaining a cultural thing is hard to do without spending an episode discussing it.
You just did the Streisand effect.
Yeah.
Edgelord.
I'm doing what I can.
Stuart's bringing edgelords back.
I'm
please
bringing
don't.
back 2005 culture apparently to people, which I
Before you know it, there'll be badgers and mushrooms everywhere.
shut
and-
up, honestly.
That is where my nickname comes from, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's
Is it?
Yeah.
What my university nickname was Badger.
Was what? Because of the badgers mushrooms?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
And the problem is I grew into my nickname, so it never died.
oh, okay.
it should be died.
I do miss all that because I was there was
Weeble.
yeah Weeble
Yeah.
stuff
Yes.
and even earlier than that. Do you remember Beer Fire Good Napster Bad, the Napster one about Metallica and Napster? That was a good one. And the frog in a blender or the hamster
Yeah.
dance.
Salad fingers.
Oh, my salad fingers. What was the name of his salad fingers? His best friend, Peter something.
All I
And
can
it was
think
like the Boards of Canada was on in the background, and it was
sound
weird.
Rusty spoon.
I like rusty spoons. Hubert Cumberdale, my best friend Hubert Cumberdale. There you go. God, the internet was.
I've just
better.
realised I'm in the room with the only people who recognise the Toast King reference.
This is the
It's
point,
been a
right?
while.
Things were simpler and nicer back in the old days. That doesn't necessarily mean that they were better,
No,
but they were certainly simpler.
they
and
were
nicer.
simpler.
So I looked actually on that front. Talking of this era, I looked out of interest because my wife and I were talking about this, and ICQ, the original intellectual property and the actual code, is still in existence.
Yeah.
And it was bought by a Russian company and acts pretty much like a Russian Telegram.
Yeah, but
sort of.
But the protocol then
Telegram is a Russian telegram.
Yeah.
It's Telegram Russian as
Yes.
well. So that's why they all use it for the.
Telegram's quite good, but it has its problems. But
There's,
yes,
there's an elephant in the room.
Pavel Durov, who's the guy who runs it, is Russian. Yes.
But to be fair, ICQ then became the basis for, is it Jabba? The Jabba protocol?
No, it just used internet relay.
ICQ was proprietary. Jabba was invented as an XML thing. The thing which almost took off because other people started adopting it was AIM, the AOL Instant Messenger.
Yes.
Jabba was developed from the ground up. Now, Jabba then became originally the basis for Google Talk, for Facebook's chat thing, and then they all stopped. So XMPP is the underlying protocol, and they then all stopped being an XMPP hub or whatever.
Yeah.
I believe for a lot of them, XMPP is still the underlying protocol, but the whole point of XMPP was that as long as you implemented the protocol, or you could all cooperate. But Google Talk certainly was still using it under the covers, but they wouldn't appear as an XMPP server to anybody else. So the whole idea that everyone could chat to everyone else died on the vine, unfortunately.
I just remember those early...
Application to ActivityPub and Mastodon is left as an exercise to the reader, but it'd be interesting to see how that works out.
So back into there, when I joined my first open source project...
That would be int there, I think.
Sorry. When I joined my first open source project back in 2013, it was CouchDB.
Yep.
And it was, the suggestion was to use, I can't remember the bloody name, it was some penguin-related application. which was one application to rule them all because it used had an XMPP interface, Jabra
Game, probably it would have been called.
Yeah, so I think it was something like that, and ICQ, so it could become one source of managing all the weird comms.
So it might have been libpurple was the underlying library, but yeah, the idea there's a big desire from a whole bunch of people to go. What you need is one chat client in which all your chats happen, and it just doesn't work, and people should pack it in.
And now we have how many Discords and Slacks are you in?
Right, exactly.
Anyway, I'm not going to open up that can of worms. We are past the hour.
Well,
right, okay.
We're already past. Well, no, to be fair, we're already past the hour. It's more a case of we are past 4 o'clock, and I now feel terrible for keeping Stuart.
Yes, no, I do have to go and actually do things,
work and things.
But yes, so there is one thing that we always
pigeon. Someone just said they're pigeon.
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 I know pigeon.
So it was called Game originally because it was GNOME AIM, and then they renamed it when it stopped being an AIM client to Pigeon. Quite right.
Yeah, no, I
can't read who said that.
I do remember this.
Who said that?
It's Halifax.
Halifax, nice. Thank you.
Halifax, who is another member of the Claw Stream team that I am part of.
Okay, cool, nice one. Thank you, Halifax. Yes,
thanks, Halifax.
Pigeon was what they renamed it to. Sorry, I remember that it was Who remembers the name of the underlying library, not the actual app? Me, apparently. I do apologize. But
it's just when it's like I now remember all the parts of Xlib.
Well, yeah. I mean, what do you want from me? Right? I'm not going to deny it.
I was being a troll. Right. Final bit, because of the fact that we need to do it, is because Stuart may have recognised the fact that I gave him the run through doc, but didn't actually read it. We have a bit at the end, so you can outro yourself. And anything you wanted to talk about,
it's mainly events, isn't it?
Mainly events, like on Wednesday. A little bit of
okay.
Thing.
Okay, so anyone who's in Birmingham, I'm speaking at Dave Evans' .NET meetup on Wednesday evening at the Jointworks. So you should go to that, which would be interesting, but that's just on Wednesday. Other than that, if you are someone who uses the web or uses apps on your phone, you might be interested in the work that Open Web Advocacy are doing. So OWA, we're openwebadvocacy.org. And part of the goal here is that we would like to be able to use the web properly on iOS and Android and have web apps be equivalent to native apps. And so native apps don't have platform-specific apps, don't have special privileges. And so we spent a lot of time talking to regulators around the world, here in the UK, the CMA, and in the US, and in Japan, and in the EU, and in Australia. And that's all going pretty well, but it's always useful to have more people involved or at least know about it. So if you want to know more about the Apple browser ban or what's going on there, have a look at openwebadvocacy.org. And other than that, what else am I meant to say, right?
No, it's whatever you want.
Hi, I'm Stuart. I'm on Mastodon. Go and look at cryogenics.org. It's fine, right?
To be fair, the Cryogenics blog is hilarious and informative, depending on what you're after on that day.
Well, one tries.
I have promo things to do.
And
I really do.
And I'm going to do my promo first.
Should I promote a thing?
All right.
Do you want me to promote a thing for you? What things am I meant to promote?
I'm going to follow you because of the fact that I am also talking at the Birmingham.net and Xamarin meetup on Wednesday 5th at 6:30 p.m. in the Jointworks Birmingham.
Okay, I didn't know what time it was. I assumed it was about that sort of time.
It's a beer and pizza time is 6:30. Talking afterwards.
Okay, yeah.
I will also be speaking at PHP Tech in Chicago later in the year.
Boo! I'm a tall bitter that my CFP got turned down for that.
And the fact that mine's about the framework wars as well.
I'm not what I would talk about, but Mike is braver than me. I can also chuck in I'm not that bitter about it because the person keynoting it is from my team. So so there you go.
But I'm going to be other places, but my brain has become so scrambled with looking at the travel calendar. I can't remember.
It's May sometime. Yeah, I can't remember when it is.
And that's about me. So go on, Jim.
I'm doing 2 local meetups. So I've got 2, as in 2 local meetups, but not local to me necessarily. Well, one is. I'm doing PHP Stoke. On the 27th of April. Mike is laughing because he's from Staffordshire.
Stoke is the place where technology goes to die unless it's for betting.
Okay.
Also true. That's why I didn't get a job there after I graduated.
That's the real reason, isn't it?
This does seem like a bag of grapefruits. To me.
Do you want to work for Bet365? The biggest tech employer in Staffordshire?
I mean, not particularly, but
Exactly.
Right. I don't care about the fact you don't like Stoke. And on the 4th of May the 4th be with you, I'm speaking more interesting. I'm speaking at PHP Dresden. So if anyone, what's he going to say, Mike? Why are you leaning forward?
Please make jokes. Please make jokes. Please make all the correct Star Wars jokes.
Oh no, yeah, no, I will. No, the one of the underlying themes is how much I hate Jar Jar Binks in that talk. So,
except the actor has now been amazing in The Mandalorian. I'm not going to spoil it, but watch The Mandalorian. The actor who played Jar Jar Binks has redeemed himself.
What part is he?
He is.
Because I've seen the first.
Is he not
two
playing
series.
Jar Jar Binks?
No.
Okay.
Misa not annoying.
Misa not a sucker cock.
I don't know anything about Star Wars.
He plays the Jedi who saves Grogu in that huge epic scene in the last episode.
Oh, I haven't watched the most recent series.
It's the second season.
Right, okay.
2 episodes ago.
Misa, redeem myself.
The actor
no.
The actor has actually redeemed himself by doing really good acting and not being a terrible character.
He was told, to be fair, he was told to be crap.
But yes.
And then I'm going.
That seems like how acting works. Yes.
There's some other things. So at the moment, for anyone that wants to do PHP land, I'm going to be possibly going to Newcastle in the UK, and also coming up are Brussels and Amsterdam and Groningen, which I don't even know about.
Groningen.
Groningen
And Newcastle, incidentally.
Groningen?
Newcastle.
What country's that in?
Groningen.
It's in the Netherlands. Yeah.
Netherlands. Okay.
I'm not sure I've got the pronunciation right.
My brain is just like...
I'm pretty sure it's not Groningen.
Is this
But
like
on the other hand,
Flanders
I'd be interested.
goggling?
I'd be interested to know if it's if I'm wrong. That would be excellent news to hear.
There are two.
Wow, is it
there
that
are-
in often you're wrong?
There are 2 meetups.
I like being corrected.
There are two meetups. There is a PHP one, and there's a separate Laravel one, which is quite interesting.
What? Just a wow. That's
Just the
pretty cool.
Laravel one there.
Nice.
And I understand it's not like a
and
massive place.
My brain
so-
is just going
presumably while
groin and
you're-
Laravel.
This is presumably why your framework war talks not be very long. It's like there was a war, and then Laravel won. End of war. Move on.
No,
It hasn't won.
That's his. That's
mine doing that
Oh,
one.
it's yours. Okay.
And I am actively going in the fact that Laravel did not win.
Okay. Well,
Right.
sure.
And I'm specifically the PHP advocate in my role, so I'm not pitching anyone against anyone else because I love everyone.
You're 100% farm fresh chicken.
And anything else to shill for yourself?
Hang on. So your pitch is that Laravel didn't win because I should still be using Cake PHP. shouldn't
No, I'm going Laravel didn't win because there are actual other choices which have better use cases.
I? Ooh, interesting.
Lara-
That sounds quite good, actually.
Laravel is not the hammer for all nails.
I mean, I would agree with that, and I think every actual Laravel developer would agree with that. I mean, I'm not a PHP guy.
you'd be surprised the amount of them go, no, we can do serverless.
You would be surprised that the higher
sure.
up you go in the chain,
but
the
so-
more disagreements there will
But
be.
so does everyone else, right? Node people think that Node can do everything.
Exactly.
I mean, Python people think that Python can do everything, but they're correct. So it
Right,
doesn't
no,
count.
Python can do nearly
Python can do everything slightly slowly.
Sure. But
and without
Honestly,
fucking brackets.
if you honestly find yourself in a position where the big thing stopping you from greatness is Python's performance, you're basically fine.
Anyway, any more shill stuff before I can close this out?
Shill some things.
No, I've chilled my stuff enough.
All right then. Well, if that's the case, I'll probably be back online drinking more beer, making more poor life choices on the internet. And you can see Stuart on Mastodon. I believe it's still at
Mastodon.social.
yes, Mastodon on the social as well. There's Jim, who is Jim and everywhere, and you're well aware of this. And then so thank you very much. See you later, people.
See you later, everyone.
Goodbye.